Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. It's time to have a look at the most recent changelog when it comes to War Thunder. It's a huge changelog and I'm kind of surprised it didn't get an It's Fixed to follow it because of how many changes were in it. Also at the same time, just to let you know that I have been made aware of the nickname issues and have passed on some of the problems that people have run into. With the addition of the nickname display unification, what has ended up happening is obviously people have started to exploit it with, let's call them funny names or offensive names. And even after, when we talked about the whole unification thing, when it came to the profile pictures, and a lot of people telling me that people don't do these things. People don't take advantage of systems, or people don't do something memey or baity because they can. Turns out they do constantly because humans are weird. Anyway, let's get into the changelog. I'm ill today, but we'll be alright. We'll get through it. So the update was 2.25.1.78, and it brought in a ton of different things. So first of all, the T25, the thickness of the armor, 4 to 10 millimeters, and the material, structural steel to rolled armor, of the grills on the top of the engine transmission compartment have been fixed. Previously, these grills could be penetrated by machine gun fire from other ground vehicles. So that obviously is a bit of an issue, but also at the same time, this should give it a bit more survivability, and not just from ground vehicles, but also from air vehicles, which is generally something that, you have an issue with. The Arietes, the material, once again going to combined armor plate, and the thickness going from 4 to 20 millimeters of the side skirts has been fixed, so a little bit of additional armor for the Arietes on the side. Don't think it's going to make any difference, but, at least it's nice that it's fixed. The 9M331, the missile's maximum permissible overload has been clarified. Permissible overload has been changed from 16 to 42 Gs. Okay then. Jesus. 42 Gs, and it'll still be useless. Isn't that crazy? Oh my god. That missile, along with pretty much all of the other ones when it comes to IR-guided missiles, has been buffed to high heaven when you have a look at the Strela and also in other areas. And it's still bad. It's still bad. Crazy, isn't that? Crazy how they've buffed this missile and also just the Strela in general about 5 or 6 times, and it's still bad. The other buff they did, the missile dynamics have been reworked. The work of the autopilots for guidance and orientation of the rocket has been clarified. This is on the 9M331. The ZLT-11, there was a bug where the absence of hatch main armor on the right side of the hull has been fixed as well. And then a ton of QN506 fixes because that thing right now is a dumpster fire. I still think it's going to go down in BR, by the way. It's really not in a great place. So there was a bug which made it impossible to use the commander's sight, except for the cannon's direction has been fixed. That has been an ongoing issue since I think they gave it the good old up-down commander sight. But a lot of people would say the commander sight is going to be the saving grace for the thing because, you can lock targets with the commander sight and then you can fire missiles over it. This is a comment that I saw many times in all my videos. Nope. You can't do that because you still need the gunner optic to actually line up when you lock onto the target. So you still have to expose your turret to be able to do it. That vehicle got way overrated for what it is. I don't know why it happened. I don't know why people decided that was the vehicle to go in with, but it just is not a good one. Like, if you compare it to pretty much all the other light tanks around that BR, I would rather take all of them apart from the QN506. The only thing the 506 has going for it is when helicopter pilots or CAS pilots aren't paying attention, you can donk on them. That's about it. Like with the fire and forget missiles. Also, the ammo for the 7.62 machine gun was changed from 2,000 to 1,000 rounds. There was a bug that caused part of the hull roof armor to combine at the same time as the air intake grill. That's also been fixed on the QN. The partition between the unmanned combat compartment and control compartment has been added, and also in the damage mode and X-ray view, the ammo of the 30mm cannon has been divided into 2 belts. Imagine having a vehicle that you add into the game in what can only be put as an unfinished state, and then you get people to grind it out, and they grind it out to a ridiculous amount. Like right now, there are 3,000 of them, or just over 3,000 of them on the market. There's also 500 of the A7Ks. Like, people really grind these vehicles out hard, and it's completely busted, and it just doesn't work properly. That's the QN506. The fact that it's had 5 changes in this one changelog, plus many other changes in other changelogs, shows how much of an issue this vehicle has been. The M6A1 and also T1E1, there was a bug fix that made it possible to fire the offensive machine guns after the loss of the gunner, so they fixed that. Those vehicles are really fun, by the way, especially the T1E1. If you haven't played it yet, highly recommend it. The M4A5, the good old Ram, there was a bug fixed with the inconsistent location of transmission geometry in the damage model and X-ray view. That's been fixed, which is good. And on the M163, there was a bug with absence in the DM of the breech part of the cannon that has been fixed. So basically, you couldn't take out the gun, the M163, even if you shot there. So it would just constantly fire. At the same time, if you're trying to hit the gun, you're probably going to hit the gunner as well, but c'est la vie. The 2S38, also there was a bug with discrepancy of the location of the cannon's breech geometry in the DM and X-ray view has been fixed. Well, I'm glad that they fixed that, because I don't have to hear about Russian bias for at least another few days until the next thing comes along. And I understand, like, I'm not making a comment on whether it's true or whether it's not true, because I honestly don't care, because there's just too many counter examples either way, but I just get bored of hearing about it. Like, I don't know how else to put it. The ZSU-23-4 and the ZSU-37-2, the mode of the circular scanning has been changed from circular to accelerated circular mode. Angular scanning speed has been changed from 20 to 60 degrees per second. So basically the radar turns faster, so it will be easier for you to look at targets, which is really good. But the problem is the radar itself is completely worthless on those machines. Unless, you know, the target is maybe about 1.5 or 1k away from you. It bounces all over the place, and pretty much all of the radars right now around AO do this. Apart from the Gepard, for some reason, I'm guessing it just has a super radar and not similar to everybody else's. So, yeah, bit of a problem, in my opinion. For aircraft, the F-84G for Italy, the air respawn has been fixed. Same with the PB-4Y. I don't know what was an issue with them, but I'm glad that they fixed them. The Milan, there was a bug fixed where the fuel tank was overlapping with the cannon magazines, which is quite funny. Imagine shooting your guns and your and your fuel explodes. Obviously, that wasn't happening, but it would be quite funny. The F-5E, there was a bug where the radar in the cockpit was shifted to the side. That's also been fixed. The Kurnas 2000, there was a bug where the radar in the cockpit was shifted to the side once again, and the radar color scheme has been adjusted and fixed as well, which is nice. The A7K, there was a bug with that as well. The data pop-up of the Lana targeting pod was similar to the A7E pod. That's been fixed, so that's good. The P108A Series 2, there was a bug with the modification new 102mm cannons, increased the shell spread on distances over 500 meters has been fixed. So basically, just like a lot of times, this modification, which is supposed to make the guns more accurate, actually reduced accuracy on the guns. I don't know why or how that happens, but this is not the only case where this has actually happened in the history of War Thunder. It is so weird that is something that goes on. And I would just... is it a case of somebody just put a minus instead of a plus? Like, how does it work? The JU388J also, which is something I haven't seen in the changelog for a long time, which is one of the old event vehicles. A bug where the windshield glass was specified as armor in the armor view tab in the hangar has been fixed. So there we go. Nice to see. The A4, all versions, the jet boosters have been added to all A4s, similar to the A4B. A bug with the infinite repair in the airfield has been fixed as well. So that's good. That actually helps them quite a lot. Since they lost their air spawn, the A4s have been in a pretty rough position. just because, before they were bomb trucks, which had the opportunity after dropping bombs to maybe do a bit of air-to-air stuff, but now they're just cannon fodder because they can't get to the bases quick enough. So that's kind of nice. The Yak 141, they've added a stealth belt to the GSH-31, so that's quite nice. I don't know why I didn't have it to start with. The MiG-29, there was a bug where the MFD remained idle after disabling the hood. That's been fixed, so that wouldn't make a lot of sense. There was also a bug where the contrail was not displayed in the local replay, which has also been fixed, and also a bug where, while test flying the Soviet piston engine aircraft, as well as French and British hydroplanes, the gunner sight was blinking in the allowed fire angles, which made it impossible to disable AI gunners. That has also been fixed. Once again, what kind of bug is that? Like, how... Oh my, how does that happen? How does something like that happen? What a weird sentence that was. The other thing to note, just remember to get your AMD 35 if you haven't got it already. I remembered yesterday to redeem mine, so if you're a person who's waiting on the AMD from the event, you can obviously now put it together, so make sure to do that. For missiles, there's a ton of changes as well, and starting with the 9M39, the altitude control engine and autopilot has been added to it. The UMTAS, the autopilot, has been improved, significantly improving the autopilot at short range. The Makopa, the good old one on the South African heli, the rocket dynamics and autopilot have been reworked, significantly improved autopilot at short range. And then also the Sirit, the autopilot has been improved on that. Same with the APKWS-2, M151 and M282. So we'll have to see how this actually affects all of these missiles and what goes on with them. The R-27T, R, and ER, the control guidance delay upon launching has been reduced from 0.5 to 0.4 seconds. Wow. Huge change. Gonna make a huge difference. And then also the AIM-54A, they've changed the rocket dynamics and autopilot on it, and the maxed overload has increased from 16 to 17 Gs. So once again, tiny change, but what matters is the autopilot once again, and how all this stuff goes on. There's also a bunch of other Phoenix changes though, such as a bug where the missile could destroy the carrier aircraft while pulling up has been fixed. The Seeker also warm-up angles have been increased from 45 to 60 degrees, and the guidance equipment operational time has been increased from 100 to 160 seconds. So there you go. Also, the climbing up angle has been increased as well. So overall, some big old buffs to the Phoenix. We'll see if people take that over the AIM-7s and what people want to do. For me, the only time I really used Phoenixes was on those large EC maps, and then I'd just go shoot AI with them, and then actually go, fight with the AIM-9Hs. The naval side of things, the Z-47, the possibility of simultaneously firing the 128s and 37 guns has been disabled, which is a bit rude. There's a bunch of vehicles where you can shoot the secondary armaments with the main armaments, but I'm guessing they'll be classed as more AA stuff, so that's probably why. The Blagorodny, there was a bug where the first order ammo racks of the main caliber turrets weren't displayed if the auxiliary armament wasn't selected. That has been fixed. And the Douguet-Chuan, the elevation angles of the 75mm anti-aircraft gun have been changed from 60 to 85. I need to give the French vehicles a go, see what's going on with them, especially since that's probably something that's going to come in the future. They've also changed some game mechanic stuff as well. The respawn cost of the Panzer S1 in ground RB has been increased to the SPG level from 90 to 130. Now it's 90 to 130 instead of 70 to 110. So it's basically got the ADATS treatment, which is fair because the Panzer is incredibly powerful. Even after some nerfs to it, the vehicle is very good. So bumping up its SP cost, I think, is completely fine. The weapon RP cost for ATGM carrying helicopters in ground RB has also been changed. So it's increased by 9% for ATGMs with proximity fuses, e.g. the Ka-50 and Ka-52. They've decreased by 10% for ATGMs with guiding distance of 2 kilometers and below, because obviously those lower tier helicopters are not the best. And they've also increased by 9% for ATGMs with guidance distance above 6 kilometers, which is basically all the higher tier ones. It took them long enough to do this. I don't know why it took them so long to do it. I'm guessing they wanted it took them years to do this because they wanted to bring in the new missile system before this, but this should have been done a year and a half to 2 years ago, and I actually think they should go way further than this. As I've said before, I think one of the main issues with this whole setup is the simple fact that they added that airstrike mechanic for a lot of light vehicles, and that means that you can do very little in a match and then go into a fully laden CAS element. And since there are some which are very hard to counter or very easy to get 1 or 2 or 3 kills off if the right counter doesn't exist at the specific time that you spawn, which is most of the time, then it can be very infuriating. So looking at this change, in general, it's a positive one. They need to go harder. They need to start really canning some of these machines because it's just been unfair for the longest time for ground vehicles. It's not a fun time right now to play high tier ground if you even want to consider existing after the first engagement. There was also an interface bug that caused the vehicle in the research window not to update when replacing the vehicle in the setup. That's been fixed. There was also an FPS drop while sending long messages in the in-game chat. That's been fixed. And also incorrect display of the aircraft gunner's hands have been corrected as well. My boy was wobbling all over the place. For Xbox, there was also a bug where the functionality of showing the list of the last players after the battle wasn't working. That's been fixed. And the displaying of nicknames for all Gaijin users have been unified now. So they added support for Unicode letters and numbers that allows the vast majority of nicknames from Steam to look unchanged in Gaijin services. And then, obviously, they put the good old encounter any issues game client, please report the stuff. So yeah, as we talked about earlier with the nickname thing, they've made it better, but also they've opened it up to a lot of exploitation. And as we've talked about many times, people literally will always do stuff like that. Like they will always abuse systems no matter what it is because they don't see any consequences and don't think about stuff like that as it goes forward. So it's just something you have to deal with. But that's the changelog. A ton of changes, a ton of very positive ones. I don't really see any negative ones here. The only thing is we're just going to have to see how the missiles react now and how different they are compared to what they were before. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank Millie Draper, Juan the Panda, Nick R. Cupila, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Merciless Reaper, Orange Tail, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Moxie B. Young, Peter Grayling, Jerry Provolt, Bareen, Alan Hacker, Sem Arslan, Uncle Bean, Derek R. and Lafouche for supporting the channel.